What's up, everybody? We talking some ball today, talking some best ball, doing some drafts. I will have my DFS video live tomorrow. We got Thursday night football tonight. Doing this pretty impromptu, so we'll let people stroll in here. Prime time drafts. Might as well do one. What are these? $10 drafts or $3 drafts? And they include the Thursday night, London, and Sunday night games. I think we have double Sunday night games. How's my mahi mahi? Ended up actually staying in, not going to the restaurant. Didn't feel like going out, sitting at a restaurant. What do you do with Garrett Wilson? Man, you just sit tight and you have some patience. I think things will be okay there. I don't think it's necessarily going to work out to the first round, a first round pick, but should be fine there. Like I have a ton of Brandon Ayuk. Really not panicking at all there. Is it ideal? He's not scored any touchdowns? No, obviously not. I'd rather have some touchdowns. But directionally, speaking directionally accurate here, I feel fantastic to be invested in the 49ers passing game. Right? You remove CMC eating a target share there. Brock Purdy looks awesome. If we narrow this. Cool thing you can do on Underdog is you can type in a team. So, yeah, I feel really good to have a lot of Brock Purdy. One of the few quarterbacks who, he looks better this year than he did in his MVP year. Feel great to have George Kittle. You feel great to have Debo. Ayuk, I still feel good about. Not paying off yet. Jordan Mason, I would have had more if I drafted more of my teams late. Is what it is. Ricky Pearsall should be returning soon. Jacob Cowing, you wish that was a Juwan Jennings, but is what it is. Don't have a lot of CMC. Got 4% Elijah Mitchell. Could be worse there. Isaac Rendo. But yeah, I feel great to have the Debo, the Kittle, the Purdy, the Ayuk. These are pieces I'd be excited to get to the playoffs. Where that draft kicked off. I think this is the only one I'm going to do with this. Sure. Let's take Bijan. Who are even the games involved here? Pitt, Dallas, Minnesota. Wow. Just because it's just wrong that I should be able to get a Bijan Breece in a 4-gamer, we're gonna do it. We're gonna own the libs here. Go double running back. That is a joke. I got offered Chase for Neighbors. I have a Nico and a Monra. I would prefer Chase to Neighbors, but it's very close. Neighbors is going to have a bigger target share. So if you care about that, stick with Neighbors. You might be able to get even more. Garrett Wilson, too. Great matchup against Minnesota. Matchup be damned. Give us Jordan Addison. What's up, Carlo? How you doing, man? I might stream some chess later. Kind of procrastinating from my writing. I don't know. It was totally user error on my part, not being able to get into my site to write the DFS article. I was just typing the wrong URL. Embarrassing. But we're forward thinking here. Might as well grab Rodgers here to stack with the Jets pieces here. And God, this is a real Sophie's choice, if you would. So Kyle Pitts, man. Cade Otton. Like, are we taking Cade Otton and Conklin over them? We're doing it. We're doing it. So sorry, Kyle Pitts. You're over. Am I still in San Diego? You may be confusing me with Crane. Crane lives in San Diego. I do not. I live in Florida. Yeah, Cade Otton. You know, the ESPN Open score, let's dig into some of that. This is far from the end-all be-all of analysis, especially in week 4. But if we look at tight ends, and they have 3 categories here: open, catch ability, yak, and then an overall. You can read about, you see this little read more button? If you want to read more about it, you can do that on your own time to understand how it's monitored. But basically, the open score is trying to capture, are you open, whether you're targeted or not. Although it does say you need 15 targets. So I don't know why Dalton Kincaid's not involved. I don't agree with anyone. Like, I think what's happening with Dalton Kincaid is the people who drafted Mark Andrews are so down bad that they're trying to drag him down with him. Has Kincaid been a smash? No, he's not. But is Kincaid live to score 7 to 8 touchdowns this year still? Yes. Yes, he is. So Travis Kelce still getting open. George Kittle getting open. Kmet still getting open. Cade Otton, pretty decent here. You know who's not decent analytically? Kyle Pitts. Like, I think if we even look at the wide receivers, that might be last. Yeah, he is literally the worst at getting open among players who have qualified to date. If we just look at the wide receivers, some guys who maybe are negative regression candidates would be some of these guys. Now, I do think some wonkiness is happening here as far as like Cup, Amon-Ra, Shakir, JSN, like Debo. These guys have a shallower ADOT. And so are you going to get wide open if you're running a shallow ADOT? No. And then you have a guy like Amari Cooper, not, Allen Lazard, not surprised to see him down here. But yeah, I don't know. Like Brandon Cooks makes sense. He's got knee infection. So I don't know. Some guys that it loves: Neighbors, Diggs, Nico, Olave, Pickens, Waddle, Flowers, Elijah Moore, also short ADOT. Jefferson, Devonta Smith, Tank Dell still, Wicks, Marvin, Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman, Tyreek, Jaden Reed. Let's do some dog bowl drafts. Get to talk about this slate. If I could ever enter, like, okay, let's try what was said yesterday. You just go to underfantasy.com again. I was in San Diego last year to do the 50K best ball draft with Utical. He asked me to come do that. But yeah, it was just a weekend thing. I'm sure there's something on my computer that keeps on blocking location services, but whatever. First world problems, right? Looks like a lot of trade questions are happening here. What do you mean can't type in a URL? I typed it in. Mixon for Montgomery. I feel like we talked about this already, man. Yeah, that's just like insult to injury is the Rashee Rice thing with his, if you didn't see, for some reason, his mom stole a package of a neighbor that I think was some records. Now, not trying to take any shots here or make any wide sweeping inferences, but we're going to do exactly that. Rashee Rice has shown poor decision making, driving a car, should have killed multiple people the way he crashed that car. And now his mom's been shown doing arguably worse decision making. Like, imagine being the mother of a NFL star and then doing that, Yeah, basically this. So yeah, I don't know. I think something that could be happening is we're in this era of NFL teams straight up lying more so than in the past, where okay, the Steelers are pretending Russell Wilson is still in the running to be the starter, and and the Packers are pretending Jordan Love could play when Malik Willis was going to play that week. So are the Chiefs not ruling Rashee Rice out to make other teams game plan for him? Like, is that literally what they're doing? Like, they're trying to gain like 0.5% of an edge in hopes that someone watches Rashee Rice routes when he's not going to play? I don't know. It's weird. Start Wicks or Drake London? Hard not to start Wicks. I drafted a lot of Christian Watson. It's a bummer. I ended up drafting a lot of Jayden Reed, but not in Best Ball Mania. Like, I got 22% Jayden Reed in the marathon, which unfortunately I don't even think I can whatever. We can look at my exposures. These are more representative of how I felt late in the year. So yeah, like Jayden Reed, if I could, I would swap this all to the BBM. Maybe I win the marathon, so maybe I want to hear, but the guys I was drafting a lot there are Rome and Reed. Reed's obviously working now. Rome is not. And something that, after this draft, something I want to talk about more is just like the chaos we have seen so far. And, you got like the mouth breather crowd who assumes that the players who have scored points to date will keep on doing that. And the players who have not will keep on doing that. Of course, it's not that simple. One example of some insane chaos we've seen today is every Panthers piece was outright dead. And then not only did Deontay and Chuba Hubbard revive themselves to not be dead, but be smashes the past couple weeks, but the Panthers had a good enough backup quarterback to do that. Where you look at someone like Miami, Achane's looking like a smash, Tua gets hurt, and these people. Whatever. We're gonna just draft Neighbors in hopes he plays. And let's go Jacobs too. We're gonna play a lot of the passing game of the Panthers, the Packers. So let's have a running game piece where this is how the passing game pieces fail. Josh Jacobs goes off. And if Neighbors doesn't play, actually, I don't know if I get to swap him out or not. Like, maybe this lineup's just dead. But so like you look at a piece like the Panthers where they have a good enough backup quarterback to survive all their pieces, and then the Miami pieces, you would think, oh, Mike McDaniel, like he can keep it afloat for 6 weeks or so, and no, like every piece goes straight to zero in Miami recently. Like that's really chaotic. And then you have a guy like Derrick Henry, feeling like a terrible pick week 1. Ravens have a negative game script. Then they get a game against Dallas. You beat Dallas by running the ball. You get a game against Buffalo. You beat Buffalo by running the ball. And additional chaos, the Bills are missing their best two linebackers, where I don't think Derrick Henry's opening the game for an 80-yard touchdown run if Matt Milano and Bernard are in there instead of two backups, but that occurred. So, like, there's all these sorts of chaos that we don't even consider. Or someone like Brandon Ayuk. I think Brandon Ayuk had a good matchup against the Rams, was wide open for a touchdown. Purdy didn't throw it. Got tackled at the 1. Jauan Jennings goes for 50 points. Then I think he had a bad matchup against the Patriots. Like, that's just generally not a great matchup. Christian Gonzalez, of course, a very legit corner. And now I think he has a decent matchup again against the Cardinals. So that's some chaos right there. What other huge chaos are we seeing? I would say the Packers, but like, yeah, I mean, Dontavian Wicks is a huge example of chaos. Maybe Dontavian Wicks is inevitable. Maybe it's inevitable he was going to be in a smash this year. He has a lot of ways to get there. Any of the top 3 dudes get injured, he becomes a near full-time player, we assume. Also, he could just play better than mainly Dobbs or Watson and just take their jobs. That was also an out for Wicks. We're seeing the injury run out. So that's obviously chaos in, like, Wicks might be a league winner now. And Christian Watson, conversely, okay, he's not out for the season, but you feel really bad about that. Rashee Rice, man, like the chaos of Rashee Rice getting hurt is insane. All those teams, like for the people that drafted Rashee Rice in round 7, 8, 9, 10, you were feeling like those were your best teams this year. Now he's likely out for the season, and you feel much better. Like your Kelce, like drafting Kelce was probably like just a bad process move. Like, you're drafting a 35-year-old dude who showed he could still do it in the playoffs, but did nothing in the regular season. And we really had no reason to assume that the Chiefs were going to force feed Kelce in the regular season. Like, yeah, I don't think it was great process to have a huge bag on Kelce just because it was the cheapest he's ever been. Now, though, with no Rashee Rice, you might get there on Kelce. Like, you might get there in the sense that you drafted this guy who probably wasn't the best bet, and now, like, de facto might be the number 1 dude there. Or maybe the Xavier Worthy guys are running hot, where he's going to, like, almost by default, he's going to be more involved. Yeah, Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel is a last-round pick in Resurrection. He is being cut on waivers. I've stashed him in some spots in some deeper leagues for 2 reasons. One, he got turf toe. So that is some chaos right there, just injury chaos. And he's not been playing a full complement of snaps. The Bills have also been in some wonky game scripts. And I don't believe the plan was for Mac Hollins to be playing strictly ahead of Curtis Samuel and MVS at times. I think he's injured. The assumption there is he gets healthier and healthier. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know. Like, turf toe, I think, can be pretty individual, where sometimes it sticks with you for a long time. Other times you can shake it off in a couple weeks. But if the Bills, like, Khalil Shakir hasn't been practicing, maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. If he doesn't play, is it going to shock me if Curtis Samuel, gets 6 targets this week? Not really. No. Like, because can Mac Hollins get 6 targets? Probably not, Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not the person to go to for your hopium on Rashee Rice. I know that Andy Reid says, so your hope for Rashee Rice, it's a bone bruise. That's your hopium. But again, I'm telling you, like, they could literally be gaming the MRI for minor injury benefit in the short term, hoping that teams game plan for Rice. Seems stupid, but like, that's literally what the Packers did with Jordan Love. And I don't know. I don't, like, maybe it is fine. Maybe he's playing in 5 weeks. I do know Andy Reid said he doesn't have optimism. It's in the short term. Like, that's not the quote I'm seeing shared a lot, but that is what he said today. Let's go Swift and T. Higgins. Yeah, maybe something like this could be happening. Coming out tomorrow, Charles. Sorry for the delay there on the resurrection. I didn't realize it was open until October 10th. But yeah, it didn't work on the rankings on my birthday. Coming out tomorrow. On God. Yeah, Swift. I mean, Swift was feeling like an outright bust. And now, I mean, like, Swift feels pretty live. Like, still going to be inefficient at times. But in best ball, I don't know if we even care. I would not be looking to trade away Brian Thomas Jr. Like, you give this 3 more weeks, we might be as excited about Brian Thomas Jr. as we are like a Jaden Reed. And you have outs to Christian Kirk getting traded to the Chiefs. I mean, Roschon is a hit. First of all, he seems to have won the war against Khalil Herbert for the RB2. If you are getting the Bears RB2 in the 20th round, the 18th round, that is a hit. Are you drafting Jordan Mason? No, that's not what you landed. But Roschon got a goal line touchdown last week. And remember that everyone was like, oh, that's Herbert's role. That's what they're saying. They gave Roschon the carry. Roschon also weighs like 230, I think. It's pulled up. 225. So you assume that generally running backs get a little bit bigger. Some get smaller, but he's probably around 230. Which is a big boy. Like 230 is the upper limit of running backs, generally what we see. But yeah, I think if you any Roschon team, I would be excited about. I know how I was feeling late August is that like I was still taking Roschon occasionally just because it was so dead for running backs late. But I myself and the market was feeling that was Khalil Herbert's job. That's chaos right there. You want to talk about like a chaotic team is the Bears in general. The Bears like right now feel terrible. Feels like Caleb, the game's going too fast for him. Feels like Shane Waldron is holding everyone down as well. But this shit's not linear, you know? We want it to be like, okay, week 5 or week 1 was terrible, week 2 was better, week 3 he threw for 300 yards. We want it to be this straight line of progression. That's really not what football is. That's not what most passive learning is either. You know, like as a chess coach, I've seen this. I've seen people work on their chess, they go down, and then a month later, all that work pays off and they go way up, you know? And that happens in football. You're trying to work, and then all of a sudden the game's going to slow down. Sometimes even mid-game. Like maybe the first quarter you'll be bad, and then the second quarter, whatever, something finally clicks for you. Or your O-line starts blocking a little bit better. So like Caleb is not someone I would be panicking on. He's someone that I'd almost be excited that he's a low advance rate guy right now at 10%. Because I still believe in Caleb Williams. You know, like boldly, I believe in this borderline generational prospect 4 weeks into the season. Man, Juwan Jennings. Tank Dell. Tank Dell is someone who the run out's been pretty bad for him. He's been injured. Diggs has been smashing in the short run. Nico is obviously looking like a clear league winner. Stroud has not looked as good as people hoped, but I think Tank Dell is far from dead. You know, like he's not getting it done right now. Good ESPN Open scores we just looked at. Yeah, like, okay, guys who I would be panicking on, Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews. Like, these are guys who It's been bad. I can paint a picture where things turn around, but yeah. Yeah, Justin Herbert, man, I drafted a lot of Justin Herbert. I think he'll be better in some positive matchups, but yeah, definitely caring about who the offensive coordinator is just should be even more important to us next year. Um, and almost more importantly, like noting who are the bad offensive coordinators. Like, look at this brave soul still taking Andrews. Shout out Mark Dio. Good team other than that. No, but like I joke, but if Mark Andrews, if it is tightrope, Tony Pollard was super inefficient and then he wasn't. And now look at him. He's a pretty solid dude. So we'll go Joseph Burrow here. And let's do Parkinson. Get a little correlation against Josh Jacobs. And I don't know how it works. I think it's like if you draft a guy with a Q tag, maybe you're stuck with him. Or it might be only if they have a D tag, you're stuck with them. If not, you get a swap. Honestly, I don't know. Thoughts on Javonte rest of season? Yeah, I mean, like he is a roster clogger, but if I don't know, like if I looked at my team and I had like Achane with the week 6 bye, and I knew I would play Javonte, I would hold him for the short term. If I know that I have other guys to play over him, get him out of there. Justin Jefferson, you mean? Or are you referring to yourself as JJ? I don't know what that means. I pulled some of the guys who I think some exciting guys that were rarely drafted and the percent times they were drafted in BBM. Trey Tucker, this is one I was on pretty early. I drafted Trey Tucker in May and in August. Obviously, you're going to run real good if Devontae Adams gets traded. Tucker Kraft, not one I was on. I was into Luke Musgrave. But, I mean, Tucker Kraft is like probably just a top 12 tight end the rest of the way. Musgrave seems banged up as well. My cat is waking up from his nap, angry. Jordan Mason, I was into this. I was into this, but at the same time, like I wasn't. Now, obviously, Mason has run absolutely pure as far as like CMC missing significant time, but I ranked Mason in the 150s very early, like early August, after I had probably like a week or so of reading beat reporters and practice reporters of people being like, "This Mason guy looks good. I think he's going to be the RB2." But here, let me let my cat out. Go ahead. But even though I had him ranked there and I was getting like Mason in the 180s, I was not chasing him up to the degree where I was getting him in every draft. And I think it is a little hindsight bias to say I should have done that. But at the same time, a reason why I would have said in the moment you should have done that is because Jordan Mason, I knew was not a 100% drafted player. So I was still occasionally taking guys like Ray Davis and Jalen Wright over Jordan Mason, who I also thought had contingent upside on valuable teams. Now, obviously, the Dolphins look worse now. No Tua, and James Cook is healthy, so it hasn't worked. But part of the reason to chase these guys up, even if you don't think it is like correct for their value, is the fact that they're not 100% drafted. And the other reason is if I told you the guy is CMC's backup, okay, is that guy 10th? Like if you told me that guy's a 10th round pick, sure. Like I've seen backups be priced there before. So not being price sensitive is definitely a lesson there, even though I was pretty into Mason. Like in our, I got a lot of Mason on my managed teams. like RT Sports. Got him on our main event league with Ron and Jacob. But still, like you wish you had him everywhere. And I personally don't think a lesson of Mason is that I should have drafted 150 teams in August, right? Like that is not the lesson to me. That is hindsight bias. Like what year was better to draft late, this year or last year? Last year, because last year you got not only Mason, like not only a Mason hit, you got Kyron, you got Puka, you got Tank Dell, you got conviction on Mostert with Achane banged up. Like you got a lot more bang for your buck, I thought. You didn't draft Cooper Kupp, who was hurt. Juwan Jennings, I wasn't into this. I mean, obviously running super pure for not only multiple injuries to occur, but also Ricky Pearsall to get shot fighting for his watch. Andre Yoshivas, yeah, I was really into this one. I wrote this one up about how Yoshivas and Jalen Tolbert were emerging as valuable wide receiver threes, and the market wasn't like Yoshivas was still going as an 18th round pick in the marathon on the day the contest filled. The day the contest filled, meaning the last day we could draft, Yoshivas was an 18th round pick often. Now, I think that was just weirdness with the marathon ADP, but that's insane, right? Like, that's insane that the Bengals wide receiver 3 was going there. Early on, I was drafting a lot of Jermaine Burton. So that's a miss for drafting early on, obviously. Jordan Whittington kind of shocked this number so high at 30%. To me, the reason why that happened is people are just chasing what happened last year, where they're like, oh, Puka came out, maybe it's Whittington, plus you got banged up Puka. So shocked it's this high, but you feel good about it, even though he probably goes to 0. I'd rather have Tutu Atwell than Whittington, just because he's a deep A-dot role, and I think he keeps his job when Puka and Kupp are back. Allen Lazard, I wasn't into this. And yeah, I think this is one where we could look back and be like, remember when Allen Lazard was a guy people cared about in September, and then in November he is a healthy scratch? Ray McLeod, I didn't really go there a lot, but you feel like, this isn't a league winner, but you feel okay about it. Justice Hill, yeah, I mean, I wasn't into this at all. And first of all, he was drafted a lot, 41%. The reason why I wasn't into it is I looked at what Justice Hill did last year in a season where J.K. Dobbins got hurt literally week 1, and the running back room was Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, and Justice Hill did absolutely nothing last year. This year, he's looking like an outright smash. Now, I would say 2 things there. Number 1, Justice Hill is now 3 years removed from major injury, so maybe he's like finally just healthy. And then also Keaton Mitchell probably returns still, and that could be flying the ointment for Justice Hill. The other thing that occurred is they drafted this Rasheen Ali guy, a guy I did draft some, and he got hurt, but I don't think he was even going to make the team before that. So yeah, Justice Hill, I don't know where I'm at on process on him. The coach speak was good on him too. So this is like a win for chasing the coach speak, I would say, which is a mixed bag. Like coach speak was positive on Rashad Bateman. Meh. Coach speak was positive on Jameson Williams. Yeah, you're happy with that one. Emmanuel Wilson was a guy people started taking the last couple of weeks because Marshawn Lloyd was hurt. I think you feel good about that. Marshawn Lloyd could still return. But yeah, I mean, 3% drafted Emmanuel Wilson, pretty effing solid. I'd rather have Emmanuel Wilson than Justice Hill, considering the leverage implications there. Let's pull up BBMDB. Any hope for Corum? Yes, man. There's so much hope for Corum still. Do I need to remind people that I won Best Ball Mania with Rashad Penny? Let's look at Rashad Penny's game logs that year. Now, this might slow down my stream because I don't know what Fantasy Pros does, but the ads they run or something really F's with my computer. It was 21. This is league winner Rashad Penny. 0.0, 2 points, 27, 6, 20, 32 and a half, 25. He gave you basically 3 weeks in the regular season. Week 18 doesn't count. You needed Rashad Penny to win the contest. This is your hope for Corum. This is your hope for Trey Benson. This is your hope for Ray Davis. This is your hope for Jalen Wright. What had me drafting a lot of Rashad Penny this year is he was a former first-round pick, so chasing talent a little bit there. And I knew he was playing Detroit Week 17, which I thought was a positive matchup. Obviously, you ran good with Chris Carson getting hurt and then Rashad Penny getting healthy at the right time. But this guy won weeks. And there's another, there's a very similar guy. The next year, I won, myself and others won best ball contests because of Jerick McKinnon. And let's look up his game logs that year. 8, 10, 2, 1, 9, 6, 6, 10, 11, 1, 5, and then 14, 32, 34, 12, and then the championship 23. So all of the production back weighted, right? Or I won because of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now my cat wants back in. Amon-Ra St. Brown was an utter zero. Remember, this was the year for people who still played best ball back then that Tyrell Williams was the guy people worried about. Look at PPR, be a little bit more fair. 4, 4, 1. Okay, 13, 13, 9, 7, 10, 5, 6. But then 25, 15, 24, 26, 35. Now, Amon-Ra fits the bill better of a guy who would be a late season breakout than Jerick McKinnon or Rashad Penny because he's a rookie at the time, right? And we assume rookie production is back weighted. The year I won the 2 high stakes tournaments on DraftKings, Zay Jones was like the guy you had to have to make it to the finals. And he was okay that year, but I think a lot of those games came back weighted. I quite like Zay Jones this year just because I thought he was Trevor Lawrence's deep threat. So, okay, he had a hot start. 12, 25, 10, 15. But really, it was this 35-point game, week 15, that like you needed Zay Jones to advance out of your pods. So this is these guys are examples of don't panic and don't think that okay, maybe Saquon, maybe Derrick Henry, maybe Kamara, maybe they will smash in the regular season or at least the first quarter of the year and in the playoffs. Of course, that's possible. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're not the guys winning you. Maybe Tank Dell goes for a 40-point game, Yeah, Troy Franklin. I wouldn't be excited about this one because I have no optimism that Bo Nix turns into a good quarterback this year. But that was my priors. I thought the Broncos passing game is not something we should be investing in, nor the running game. If we look at my Broncos exposure in BBM, I drafted Dulcich. I drafted some Knicks. It wasn't into like Jaleel somewhat, but he got expensive. Like he was going around guys like Jordan Mason, Ray Davis, etc. Javante, I was really not into. And then I didn't even draft Troy Franklin. Wasn't into Sutton. And so you look at a guy like Malik Neighbors, and what's the lesson Malik Neighbors? Oh, you chase talent. But what's the lesson of the Broncos and the Patriots? Well, the lesson there is sometimes teams are so bad that you don't want anything to do with them. Like even my Greg Dulcich, like I don't know, man. Like, do I want this? If he can give me a week, sure. But should I be trying to take an 18th round pick on a team I thought was going to be bad, even if he's tight end eligible? Maybe not. Now, of course, you got years like the Texans, but even there, I would say CJ Stroud going number 2 overall in the draft is not comparable to Bo Nix going 15th overall in the draft or wherever he went, 13th or something. And a lot of people didn't think Bo Nix had a first round grade. So like it wasn't only where he went, it was that maybe only Sean Payton was going to take him in the first round. Patriots, I did more here. Like Antonio Gibson was cheap. And I mean, this might actually be a solid hit. Like the rumor is Ramondre might be benched for Gibson this week, at least. Drake May, still room for Drake May to be a hit because he will run the football. And why I have more Drake May than Bo Nix, even though Bo Nix was looking like the starter, is Drake May went 3rd overall in the draft. So like I'm more convinced he's good. Kendrick Bourne, we've seen Kendrick Bourne be good before. He's practicing. Like all the guys on IR, they could tell a story still this year. Ricky Pearsall, Kendrick Bourne, Kendre Miller. Jalen Polk, highly drafted rookie. This one's possible. Pop Douglas. Yeah, he was cheap enough. Didn't really do the expensive Patriots, which felt bad for a little bit with Ramondre, but now feels pretty good, you know? Yeah, I think some people are inexperienced. Other people are it's a lot of people, their mental health is low. They gambled too much, whatever. So that's how some people take out their frustrations, you know? Yeah, I mean, Kyron is a smash right now. I thought he was a pretty good pick process-wise as well. But could he roll an ankle? Absolutely he could, right? Yeah, I wish looking at my Packers stuff, wish I had more Reed, and I would have if I did more August drafts. Wish I had more Love. Wish I had more Wicks. He was just more expensive on Underdog, but in the DraftKings Millie Makers and the Marathon, I think I have a lot more Wicks because he got cheaper for some reason as drafts went on. Same thing with Rashid Shaheed. Josh Jacobs, I'm not missing him at all. Christian Watson, just unlucky. Rolls an ankle. Maybe he would have been a bust anyways, but I think he would have had some big games. Not missing Dobbs. Definitely missing Wicks. Wish I could swap the Musgrave to Tucker Kraft, but hey, I mean, could he fall in the end zone? Sure. Like he's as live as Mark Andrews to have a random touchdown game, right? I would trade away Trey McBride for Jake Ferguson and T. Higgins. Definitely. I mean, I think first of all, Jake Ferguson could outscore Trey McBride straight up. Second of all, you're also getting T. Higgins. So yeah, I would definitely do that. The Marathon, how can you tell who's winning? This is much easier on your phone. I reached out to Patrick to see if he could create something like this for the Marathon, but you need to go into the leaderboard and like this. So the leading team has 624. And if one of your teams is here, it will show as gold. But I don't know, on mobile it will show you your points, but when you pull, well, maybe they fixed it. But like when you pull random teams, yeah, it's just pulling the same team every time. I don't know what's going on there. Some weird bug, obviously. Let's just go through my exposures for every team in the league and talk about how I'm feeling about them. I guess we'll just go by let's go by division. We'll start it off with the Chiefs division here. And we'll start it off with the Chiefs. So Rashee Rice, 7%. Obviously, you wish this number was higher if he was healthy. The big reason for me fading Rashee Rice was mostly game theory. I actually was very convinced he was a good pick. And so, I don't know. It's like, I still think it was good process to be not wanting to hammer Rice when he was going in the 100s. And sometimes you run good when you have good process, but he could also return. So whatever. We'll move on there because people are sensitive, I'm sure, about this one with injury. Pacheco, yeah, ended up underweight on him barely. I thought he was a good pick until he became a third-round pick, second-round pick, in where I thought people had jumped the shark on that. So running a little hot that he got hurt. Hollywood, wasn't too into Hollywood. Again, he got injured. I don't know. Worthy, yeah, I wish I had more Worthy. He was like a 5th-round pick, and then he dropped to the 6, 7 where I got a lot. But the reason why I didn't get a lot in the 5th is I was drafting guys like James Cook towards the end, Jaden Reed. I was drafting guys like Rome Odunze, which I think it's too early to call. I was drafting guys like Rachaad White, Ken Walker occasionally. Rachaad White, obviously, I would probably global swap to Worthy. But part of the reason to draft Rachaad White is to get the Panthers week 17. And that thesis still seems good. Like Tampa running back against the Panthers. Now, it might be Bucky Irving, but still think I identified a valuable spot there. Kelsey, 5%, comfort soft fade there. I feel good about this. He might be a smash. I still doubt that they're going to like pepper him with targets in the regular season, even with no Rice. But maybe. Carson Steele, I don't think Carson Steele's dead, but he might be. Like, let's give it a week or two here. P. Ryan, yeah, got some late. Mahomes, feel good about the fade on Mahomes. I stuck to my guns here where I thought it's just bad advance rate wise to be drafting expensive pocket passing quarterbacks. And then week 17 wise, I don't like Mahomes' matchup against the Steelers. So didn't see a reason to do this. Glad I didn't get caught up in the hoopla. And Justin Watson, okay, sure. Got a dart there. Guess we'll go to the Raiders next. Brock Bowers, feel good about it. Where he went, 14%. Devontae Adams, soft fade on him. I think we always should have known Devontae Adams could be traded. Like, that was very obvious. So, don't even know if I'm saying people are running good if Adams is traded, because I don't personally think anyone was drafting a lot of Adams saying, hey, what if he's not efficient and then demands a trade and the team is bad and they do it? But it was always in that range of outcomes. Feel good to have Trey Tucker. Obviously, wish I had more. Zamir White, feel good about that. Soft fade. Jacoby Myers, wish I had a little bit more. Just build a lot of teams 0 RB, so is getting more running backs. He should be a smash with no Adams. Michael Mayer, might even get traded. Got one Madison team. Any chess today? I might stream some chess later, Adam. I got chess lesson at 5. Room for a couple more lessons there if anyone wants lessons. DM me on Twitter. Chargers. Okay, so DJ Chark. Yeah, I mean, pretty unlucky where maybe he was always going to be the wide receiver 4, but he hurt his hip like a week before the regular season started, and he's on IR. I don't know when he's going to return. I don't know if he's been practicing. Herbert, I feel much worse about, but still think there's room for him to be fine in the playoffs. Gets a playoff schedule of gets the Patriots week 17. They're not an impressive pass game defense. Gus Edwards, yes, feels pretty bad. I mean, like he's like cuttable and manage. I don't know. Like he had unreported surgery in the offseason that we really didn't hear about until late. So I don't know how much of that, like my hope with Gus is that he would at worst um be the like be the guy stealing touchdowns by the goal line. And okay, the Chargers have had like 2 cupcake matchups and like the Panthers and the Raiders and 2 tough matchups in the Steelers and the Chiefs. So, is there room for him still to be that? Sure, but it feels worse. He doesn't look good. Ladd, I think you feel good about Ladd. There's room for him to come on. Josh Palmer, I think you feel worse about, but you feel bad about the whole Chargers pass game. Kamani Vidal, I still feel good to have some Kamani Vidal. I think there's room for him to be a Rashad Penny level smash. J.K. Dobbins, I have 0. And honestly, like, yeah, you feel bad the first couple weeks. And yes, the Chargers have had O-line injuries, but J.K. Dobbins is totally drawing life for a guy that we look back on. And we're like, oh, remember in September when people were worrying about no J.K. Dobbins? Like if we look at the least efficient guys as far as rushing yards over expected, last week it was Najee, Achane, Singletary, J.K. Dobbins. Who was it in week 3? You bet it. It was J.K. Dobbins. How did J.K. Dobbins do week 2? Instead, he was one of the most efficient. How did he do week 1? Instead, he was the most efficient. So, still tough to say on J.K. Dobbins. Like, is he going to get healthier as the year goes on? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's in the cards. Logically, though, it seems like he would slow down more as the year goes on. He's still injured. Like maybe he's just not fully back. So I don't know. I don't feel bad about no QJ. He's had some random touchdowns. I think that is partly Chargers related or a chart missing time. And like he's not separating. I don't know. He's not going to catch a touchdown every week. Broncos, we already touched on, but I feel good about pretty much just fading this team. Chargers O-line was hurt. Yeah, but I don't think that matters for rushing yards over expected. Like, and also I literally just said that. I guess we'll do the AFC East. Bills. Obviously, I took a lot of Bills. Kincaid, I still feel good about. Don't know if there's anyone sticking out in round 4 or 5 other than Jaden Reed, who's like an outright smash. And the nice thing about Kincaid is he's not Mark Andrews. He's not some of these other busts. And yeah, like tight end, elite tight ends having low advance rates is part of the feature of them. You know, like they have a 2 touchdown game week 16. Now you might be getting like 3 teams to the finals. Ray Davis, I don't feel bad about this one. Ty Johnson is more involved, but it does seem mostly contingent upside. He's looked okay in my mind. Shakir feels like a smash. I like all offseason, I wasn't really sure. And then towards August, I was pretty confident Shakir was the number 1 wide receiver on the Bills group. Keon Coleman, I think I feel pretty good about. He's playing a lot. He is succeeding at what he does, back shoulder throws, better and best ball guy to me. Room for him to become the number 1 this year, but I think it will be some mixture of Shakir and Kincaid in front of him. James Cook feels like a smash. Bad week last week, but you feel real good about him. Curtis Samuel, no, you feel bad about, but I think it's the turf toe, so I want a bigger sample on him. Josh Allen, feel fine about. Matt Collins, took 2 teams of him. Patriots, we looked at, but feel decent about everything here. I did draft a lot of Ramondre last year and not this year, so maybe I should have mixed in a couple more shares, but feel decent how I played it. Jets, feel real good to have the Braylon Allen. Don't feel good about the Malachi Corley. Like, maybe he could come on later in the year, but it's pretty bleak right now. Mike Williams, I feel pretty good about, just because he's been playing and playing more off injury. Conklin, I feel fine about. He's a perfectly fine late tight end. Rodgers is okay. Garrett Wilson, I think he'll be okay. Breece Hall, I feel fine about the soft fade of Breece Hall. Soft fade of Jefferson and Breece Hall. Obviously, the Breece Hall fade feels better. And I like how I played it, where I took a lot of Braylon. Gibson, didn't even know I took 2 teams of him, but yeah, he's playing ahead of Malachi Corley. Got in a Banacanda team. He's a 0. Dolphins, Jalen Wright, not working right now, but nothing is for the Dolphins. Achane, feel good about Achane once Tua returns. Tyreek, mini soft fade there. Generic Prince really should count in your Chiefs exposure. He's a 0. Jonnu, Mostert, feel good about the soft fade, but obviously running good. Tua, feel good about that soft fade as well, but you're running good. Feel good about the Jalen Waddle soft fade. Just like, meh. No. Cromulent is definitely a Davis word. Some of my lexicon does get into other streamers' vocab. Like, if anyone ever says they're going to rip a draft, I was the one who originated that. But cromulent is 100% Davis. Let's look at the AFC North. So the Lions is a mixed bag where feel good about the Sun God. I'm at field on Goff, at field on Gibbs. Feel good about them. Got some Khalif Raymond. That seems pretty bad right now. It's not working. Wish I had more Montgomery, but, I think it will become the Gibbs show more. Feel okay about the soft fade and Laporta. What I don't feel good about is I drafted a lot of Jameson Williams the past 2 years, and this year I didn't, where I just thought he was a little too expensive. And now, obviously, like, this is a mixed bag on JMO, where, okay, he had all this positive offseason coach speak, so you should take that into account. He also was the presumed Lions wide receiver 2 with Josh Reynolds on the Broncos. At the same time, like, his target shares the past 2 weeks have been like 10%. So I don't know if he's going to be quite the league winner we thought he was, but I feel bad that I like reversed biased myself here versus like, look, I'm never wrong, just go down with the ship. We're never wrong. We're just early. No, but I wish I had more JMO. Tim Patrick doesn't really count as a Detroit exposure, but he's playing. Sion Vaki is what it is. Bears. Yeah, this is like the Bears. I got a lot of Bears, and this is one where you don't really feel great about anyone right now, but things could change quickly. I feel good about the soft fade of Keenan, just fading the old man. I feel good about the Roshan. I think the Swift bags are going to be hit or miss, which is kind of best ball. I feel good still about Rome. He's had one good week. Didn't get there last week. I feel okay about Caleb. Like, I don't know. It's basically like, is Caleb going to develop this year by week 10 or so? That's your hope for all your Bears pieces. And maybe they will and maybe they won't. Vikings. So soft faded Jefferson doesn't feel so hot right now. He is obviously scoring touchdown every week. That shouldn't continue. I actually did draft a lot of Jordan Addison, just not in Best Ball Mania 5 because Jordan Addison, Hopkins, um, like these are like all the Josh Downs, Rashid Shaheed. These guys got hurt and then dropped like several rounds in value. So I did draft a lot in like the marathon or on DraftKings or my late August teams, but wish I like of this list, I wish I had more Aaron Jones. Mostly. Hawkinson drafters are running pretty nice right now where all elite tight ends have failed pretty much. And so you're not like really that far behind the 8 ball. Now, is he going to step in and be a dominant guy in fantasy? I don't know. No Sam Darnold, not great, but JJ McCarthy obviously got hurt. So yeah, not looking so hot for the Vikings, but I don't know. I still personally believe that we could look back at the Vikings amazing to date. Got to give them their flowers. They beat the Texans, they beat the Packers, right? Like they beat the 49ers, they beat 3 very legit teams. I think it's also possible we look back on this in like 5 weeks and we're going to be like, "Oh, really? Sam Darnold went back to being a pumpkin," or like they got more tape on them. So, doesn't feel so hot right now. And like that, the drafting the Vikings is a win for the draft the good OC guys, but or at least Kevin O'Connell, good coach. Packers is the last team there. We already looked at this kind of, but I felt okay about Watson. We never really got to see it with a healthy Love. I still think he avoided IR, so hopefully he just returns in week 5 and is healthy. Wish I had more Reed. Wish I had more Love. Lloyd, I think you're just running bad there. He could come on later in the season. Wish Musgrave was Kraft. Wish I had more Wicks. Don't care about Dobbs. Don't really care about Jacobs. Let's move on to, let's do the AFC North. The Bengals, pretty heavily invested in the Bengals. Moss, feel good about. Chase, you feel good about. Chase Brown, you feel good about. Burton, you don't feel good about, but hey, Higgins rolls an ankle or something, and maybe it's the Burton show. Burrow, I feel good about. Yoshi Voss, I feel good about. Wish I had some more T. Higgins. Think I should have drafted more Mike Gesicki too, even though Eric All seems interesting there. Steelers. Fields. Wish I drafted more Fields, obviously. A lot of these teams were early too. Jaylen Warren, I didn't end up getting as much of him, even though he's one of my highest drafted guys last year, just because he was so expensive and he was going around guys like Swift, Zach Moss, Roman Wilson has been hurt. Pretty much faded the Steelers outside of Fields. And I don't know. That feels like, honestly, that feels pretty good to me. Pickens, I think, is better than I anticipated, but it took the Steelers being down like 20 points against the Colts to get a 300-yard passing game out of Fields. I doubt you're going to get that. Freiermuth might be, he was pretty expensive, but he might be an okay hit. So, and I feel great about the full Najee fade. Najee sucks. So, feel good about that one. What zeros are you proud of? Najee Harris, Patrick Mahomes. I would not trade A.J. Brown away, but honestly, yeah. For Nico, maybe I would. Ravens. I feel good about Zay Flowers. It's not, it's going to take a passing game script, but I feel good that I nailed the number 1 of the passing team here. Devontae Walker. This is my early drafted teams. This isn't working. Isaiah Likely. Feel pretty good about, like he'll have some spike weeks. Lamar, definitely wish I had a little bit more Lamar. Keaton, but again, if maybe he won't have a big game against Houston. But honestly, I like that game, so Should have had more here. Happy with the pretty large fade of Andrews. I was worried about the tightrope, and I kept on bringing that up, and people were like, "No, no, don't worry about that." Keaton Mitchell, probably wish this was Justice Hill right now, but Keaton Mitchell returns and wins that job. Maybe not. Nelson Aguilar, sure, he's playing. Rashad Bateman, I guess you want a little bit more. Rasheen Ali, he's hurt. Is he practicing? Oh, he's returning to practicing. Hey, we have Rasheen Ali Hive. We're live. Derrick Henry rolls an ankle, and it will not be the Justice Hill show. I personally do feel fine about the Derrick Henry full fade. Do I feel great about it if I was totaling points weeks 1 through 4? No, but I don't think Derrick Henry is going to be the key to winning Best Ball Mania 5 against the Texans. Like I don't anticipate them just running ruckshod on the Texans. Also, if Derrick Henry is that important to the Ravens' success, you have to imagine they might be limiting his workload as they go into the playoffs. So I don't know. Has a lot to be written there. A lot left to be written there. Browns. Ford was one of my highest drafted running backs, but all of that was when his ADP was like in the 130s. He closed in the 100s, so feel still pretty good about it. Hasn't had any huge games. Super involved. Nick Chubb is practicing, so we'll see what happens when Chubb comes back. Maybe Ford goes to 0, in which case that he's a bad pick. But if he still remains involved, if he's still getting 10 touches, 5 targets, if he's the change of pace back, I just have a really hard time seeing the Browns allowing Chubb to get like a full workload. And I still don't think it's impossible if the Browns are like 1-8 that they might not even activate him off IR. They might just say, let's save him for next year. But maybe they throw the fans a bone. Like the fans got to have something to root for. And it sure as hell ain't Deshaun Watson. Cooper, yeah, I feel okay about this soft fade. He might land with the Chiefs, but he's not been so hot. David Njoku, probably wish I had a little bit more here. But again, the Browns' passing game's been pretty bad. Judy, wish I had a little bit more. Deontay Foreman, meh, he's not been good. I don't know. Let's look at a couple more divisions. What's a division people want? Let's look at the 49ers division. So, yeah, I feel great about these top 4 49ers, mainly in the sense that they get the Lions week 17. It's really hard to run on the Lions, even though Ken Walker did it. And so 49ers passing game pieces against the Lions, I thought was one of the keys to winning Best Ball Mania 5. And I still feel that way. So I really want, like, if I can land a team in the finals, I want it to have Ayuk, Kittle, Debo, Purdy. Like, I want to get these teams to the finals. And that's how I draft. Like, I draft to try to win the contest. I don't enter drafts thinking, how do I advance out of my pod? Like, what does this team need to beat these other teams to make the playoffs? That's a min cash mentality to me. To me, how you win is you think, what do I want to show up in the finals with? What is the key to winning the money? Jordan Mason, you obviously wish you had some more. Happy with my soft fade of CMC, running good on it, but part of the soft fade thesis is that he's old, and had a lot of touches last year. Jordan Mason, yeah, I wish he had more there. Pretty happy with my 49ers exposure. Probably wish I had like a little bit more equal on Ayuk, Debo, but is what it is. Cardinals, feel decent about the Trey McBride. Feel fine about Marvin Harrison. Probably wish I had some more James Conner, but that could just be September brain, weeks 1 through 4 brain. Like old running back. Got there against the Commanders, but, didn't get there at all the week before against the Lions. So if he remains the workhorse all year, that's obviously makes Benson a terrible pick, but I kind of think Benson will get more involved. Feel decent about the soft fade of Kyler. He was just kind of expensive. And yeah, wish I had even lower numbers on Wilson, Dortch, Zay Jones. Seahawks. Wish I had more of all of the Seahawks. I got no JSN. That one honestly does feel fine to me. I got a ton of Charbonnet and the DK Millie because he was a guy who, like, I literally sent a tweet out that, like, I understand people are excited about Ken Walker, but Zach Charbonnet was going cheaper than he did his rookie year at the end of drafts. So I got Charbonnet everywhere in the marathon, in the DK Millie. Only got up to field here. And the reason why that is because I was taking the Bengals running backs and mostly the Cowboys running backs. Like, if you were going to draft Rico, it usually came at the expense of Charbonnet. Metcalf. I honestly thought Metcalf could be a smash, so wish I had more than I even did, but I don't love the Bears Week 17 matchup for the passing game, or the Seahawks Week 17 matchup, which is the Bears, and I still don't like that matchup right now, so that feels fine. Ken Walker, you obviously wish you had more of. He was like one of the few running backs I felt okay about, so I don't know. Feels pretty light. I do have him in some high stakes spots, but like the running backs I felt okay about in rounds 4 and 5 were James Cook, Travis Etienne, Pacheco, Ken Walker, and Rachaad White. And so, like, White is not working. James Cook is working. Etienne's a bust. Pacheco's hurt. And James Cook is also working. Lockett. Got a ton of Lockett elsewhere because he got really cheap. So whatever, though, right now. Noah Fant. Who cares? Did I miss a team in that division? 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks, Rams. Demarcus Robinson, almost all of those shares are from early drafts, before I knew guys like Whittington existed. So that feels like those shares, like Whittington, Demarcus Robinson sucks. Like this is not going to work. Kyron, although maybe it works if like Puka and Cup returns and he has some random spikes, but no, terrible. Kyron, smash. Puka, unlucky. Cup, unlucky. But also, like, I think it's more predictable Cup got hurt than Puka. Stafford, whatever. Blake Corum. Honestly surprised I don't have more. Whittington, all of those shares came late. Tutu, I didn't even know I had a Tutu team. Let's check in on it. Tutu was only drafted at 2%, so he's, yeah, team's dead. 12th place. Caleb and Stafford, terrible. Achane, okay. White, terrible. Gus Edwards, terrible. Benson, terrible. Zeke, terrible. Khalil Herbert, terrible. All right, so it's got no running back points. Good start. Amon-Ra, good. DJ Moore, Rashee Rice, hurt. Keenan Allen, terrible. Watson, hurt. Shakir, fine. Whittington and Tutu, fine. Kincaid and Parkinson, fine. So missed on running back. Got some misses here. Mainly just missed at running back too much. So looks like Tutu will not be my key to success here. And this is like, you know, drafting to, if someone asked me, how do I advance in Best Ball Mania? Or like, how do I advance in Best Ball? What I would basically advise them is to build a team that fills your starting roster spots, where you take 3 and you cover your flex with both a running back and a wide receiver. So you draft 3 running backs relatively early, your 2 starting spots and a flex. You draft 4 wide receivers relatively early, your 3 starting spots and a flex. You get a quarterback, you get a tight end, and then you build out depth. That is what I would recommend if you're trying to advance as many teams as possible, and then just let the lottery take hold. If you're trying to advance extreme teams, which you can accept that your advance rates are going to be terrible at times, right? Like I've always kind of built this way, knowing that I'm risking not advancing teams. You instead build teams like this where you draft either only one running back early or sometimes even 0, and then you run the gambit of, can I land the 0 running back guys this year? And in this case, the answer is no. No, I did not land it, right? there are cases where I did land it though. Like if we look at the Jordan Mason team, let's find one where okay, so I did like I drafted running back a little bit earlier, but I went James Cook, Kamara, Pollard. So round 5, round 7, round 9, and then I also hit on Mason. I also hit on Bucky, and P Ryan is seeming like a fine hit too. Where Khalil Herbert seems like he just lost his job. P Ryan's going to be in the mix. He's going to be playing. Or this team. Okay, I didn't take any running backs until round 8, but at least Ramondre's been okay. Mason's been okay. But like honestly, I don't think this team's that exciting because even though wide receivers a smash, tight ends fine, quarterback's fine. Really, the only running backs I'm excited about are Mason and Tyler Algier if Bijan rolls an ankle. Like that. Because everyone else is like, no, it's not looking so hot. This team went James Cook, Rachaad White, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. So honestly, yeah, like this one feels pretty good. Let's find some 0 running back Mason teams. Sure, there's some. This team basically is. It's like Hero, Achane, White in the 6th, Ford in the 10th. So I did early Ford here. Mason, Braylon Allen, P. Ryan. Like those are hits. Those are hits to me. This team is pretty sick. This is actually the last team I drafted, number 150. Josh Allen and Goff. It's got Amon-Ra, Jameson for the Lions pieces. It's got Shakir, Kincaid, Mac Hollins for the Bills pieces. Then it's got one-offs of Yoshivas, Cooks, not so great. Kirk, fine. Watson hurt. But basically just like Bills and Lions passing game pieces plus running backs feels pretty good. This team was an anchor Bijan. Where, yeah, then I went like rounds 10, 11, 14, 16, 18 for running back. Feel pretty good. Like the running back room feels pretty good. Bijan, Brown, Rico, Ray, and then Braylon Allen's a success. Jordan Mason's a success. How are my Braylon Allen teams doing? Man, yikes. 1 of 29. But a lot of the teams are close. This team was probably drafted relatively early. Yeah, this team was drafted in May. This team is honestly sick if Rashee Rice wasn't hurt because it landed like there's only like 1-0 in Will Shipley. I mean, the answer is it depends, sports poker guy. Like he says, if the unique combos are worth the lack of information, always seems like my best teams are drafted at the last second when I have the most information. I mean, it depends. Like I built the winning BBM2 team in June. So guess what you needed to do that year? You needed to draft in June. Karain built the winning BBM3 team in July. Fareed drafted the winner last year in September. This year, I don't know. So it's like, yeah, do I wish I drafted more teams late? I don't know. I do wish I didn't draft Devontae Walker early. You know, like I wish I was. Why was I drafting Walker? Because I knew he was going to make a team. He was a rookie. Bucky Irving. Bucky's a guy I drafted a lot early, but not as much late for whatever reason. Like I got 429. Like I drafted a lot of shares in the day the contest opened. 429, 429, 429, 521, 526, a random June 20th, and then a couple shares late. So I don't know why. I guess he just got more expensive and I was a little price anchored, but I got 10 teams. The answer is maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's look at the week 17 schedule and talk about players I'd be excited about today. So Chiefs Steelers. Honestly, no one for me. Maybe Justin Fields. tough defense. Maybe Travis Kelce, maybe Worthy. Again, tough defense. Texans, Ravens. Super excited about any Nico teams I get there. I'd be excited about Lamar. If Derrick Henry is still doing Derrick Henry things, sure, him too. And then, yeah, also Diggs and Tank. Seahawks, Bears. A lot of this depends how Caleb develops, but I think I'd be pretty excited for Bears pieces. And I'd be excited for whoever, if Ken Walker is still the starting running back, him, but more so the running back of the Seahawks. Falcons, Commanders. Super excited for Jaden Daniels to land in the finals. Passing game, not so much. Maybe like Brian Robinson. On the Falcon side, I think I'd be excited for Bijan and still Drake London. You got to assume Kirk is healthier than. Chargers, Patriots. Maybe some Ladd. Depends if Drake May's playing. Maybe Kamani Vidal, J.K. Dobbins. Like, most of this game, no. Bengals, Broncos. Probably more of like the Bengals running backs, seeing how good Patrick Surtain has been in this Broncos defense. No one on the Broncos side. Colts, Giants. I'd be excited for Richardson if he's healthy. I guess Jonathan Taylor, maybe. Super excited for Malik Neighbors against the terrible Colts secondary, like absolute smash. Cardinals, Rams. A lot of this depends on health. The Cardinals also look like shit right now, so but the Rams defense is terrible, so really most Cardinals pieces you'd be excited about. Panthers, Bucks. Whoever is operating as the Bucks RB1, you're excited about, and you're also excited about, like, I think just a lot of pieces from this game because both these defenses don't seem very good. Bills, Jets. I think you would be excited for a lot of pieces in this game. The Jets defense doesn't look as good this year, but probably more like the running backs of the Jets, maybe Garrett Wilson, maybe Devontae Adams. Packers, Vikings. Would be super excited to get Jaden Reed team to the finals. Jordan Love to the finals. Vikings bring back so. Raiders, Saints. I guess if Alvin Kamara's still doing it, man, him. Raiders side, yeah. Jags, Titans. Probably like Brian Thomas and Kirk if the Jags are still frisky. Maybe Tony Pollard. Maybe Calvin Ridley. Like, no, not really. Cowboys, Eagles. I think every Eagles piece I'd be happy about. CeeDee Lamb I'd be stoked about. Ferguson I'd be stoked about. Like, this game I still like a lot. Browns, Dolphins. Whoever is the Browns running back, whether it's Jerome Ford, Nick Chubb, I'd be really, really excited about in a smash spot against the Dolphins. Not much else. And then 49ers, Lions. Like, yeah, this is the game deciding everything to me. Like, I would be so excited for every 49ers pass game piece. I think every Lions piece too. Like, the 49ers defense has been so compared to the years past. So David Montgomery, Gibbs, Laporta, even Amon-Ra, give me it all. So like this game, as far as like the games I'd be most excited to have pieces on both sides, still Lions, 49ers, Cowboys, Eagles, Ravens, Texans, and then either like Cardinals, Rams, or Bills, Jets, probably. Maybe Panthers, Bucks. Some people want some pick'ems for tonight. Sure, let's give you guys some pick'ems. All right, I got a gimme pick of Kirk, so let's get him in there, and let's apply a profit boost. Oh, can only do one. So we'll remove Kirk. We got our 30% profit boost. Let's go. Wow, you give me picks? I'm in Florida, so I don't know if this is different. Honestly, I don't have a great read on tonight's game. I think the guy I like is Bijan. Probably like Pitts unders feel Pitts unders feel generational. Let's do lower than let's just do lower on 15.5 being his longest reception. Because I don't know. That feels like an easier bet than lower than 30. No, let's do lower than 30 passing yards. It's statistical improbable. And then let's parlay that with some like Darnell Mooney overs. Man, so high. 46.5. That's like a legit line. Let's throw in Bijan. Higher 60.5 rushing yards. Let's go. I think Atlanta's easier for Godwin. This is cool. They let you do under 50.5. Man, 7 receptions is a lot. I wouldn't assume Bucky's going to be the goal line back on every like. Bucky got a touchdown, but I wouldn't assume he's going to have that role every week. And I don't know if he's vulture protected, in which it makes it better. But like Chase Brown getting 2 goal line looks against the Panthers, that could have just totally been because it's against the Panthers, and they're trying to give the guy a vote of confidence. I'm gonna take an over on Rachaad White receiving though. He's still good at that. 20.5 receiving yards. All right, let's do this pick 3. Kyle Pitts lower than 30 receiving yards. Bijan higher 60.5 rushing yards. Rachaad White higher 20.5 receiving yards. And of course, we got to get the quarterback rushing yards in there. So Kirk Cousins. Man, it's not letting me go under on his rushing yards. If you guys were here for the rushing yards, the Jared Goff touchdown cashed via him scoring a reception touchdown. I didn't get the other ones right though, so let's go. Baker's been running more. What's his rushing yards at? 10.5 over. Get that in there. $10 to pay 75. All right, we're gonna do that, but we're gonna throw in the gimme pick instead because it feels like a waste to do a 30% profit boost on that. So we're doing lower Kyle Pitts 29.5 receiving yards, higher Bijan 16.5 rushing, higher Rachaad White 20.5 receiving, Baker Mayfield over 10.5 rushing yards, and Kirk Cousins gimme pick here. It's a little hint. When it fails on your desktop, you go to Underdog Fantasy. It fixes your location issue. God effing damn it. We close this tab. I don't know, man. I felt that was unnecessary. Is it? I think this is the gimme pick. No, it's a gimme. It's just total yards. Type on Underdog on Google and click it through there. You have it on flex, just so you know? What does that mean? God. All right. I'm building this on the phone. Oh, expected payout? Oh, yeah. No, we don't want it on flex. F that. How did that get? All right. So we got to build this on the phone. Hire Kirk Cousins. Rashad White. Hire 20.5 receiving yards. Honestly, feels a little high if he gets benched, but whatever. Kyle Pitts, gimme. Lower 29.5. Can't get open to save his life. Bijan, 60.5. Higher. Baker Mayfield. Higher 10.5 rushing yards. Okay. Boom. All right. I'm going to copy this into my Discord right now. The link to join that is below. I feel good about this, guys. Always a good sweat to have the rushing yards on a quarterback. No, I know what flex is. I didn't know I had it clicked. Okay. So I'm going to post this in my Discord. And then I can copy that and post it in the YouTube chat for you guys too. Riveting content here. Me trying to get things to load. Copy. Paste. Why isn't this pasting? Can I share it from here? No, I don't want to cancel it. I want to share it. All right, guys. I don't know how to share it. This is the card. Pause the screen, take a picture. No, I get what the flex is. I just didn't know I had it clicked. This is the card. If you want tail, if you want to switch some picks, do that. $10 to make 100. I hope I didn't do flex on my phone, but when in doubt, play Kyle Pitts lowers. Yeah, it's going to be a good sweat anyways, Either we're going to be able to say we can reverse jinx people, big board teams, my top scoring big board, Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, Chase Nico Neighbors, Sex, Charlie Jones, shout out. My other team in first, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, James Cook, Aaron Jones, Chase Brown, Charbonnet, Ford, solid team. Chase, Neighbors, Kirk, Big Mike, Curtis, Mooney. Nah, this team sucks. I mean, it is the nuts. Am I wrong? Let's do a battle royale before we get out of here. If you guys haven't checked out Liam Teaches Chess, it's a YouTube channel I launched recently where I talk about pop culture. No, just kidding. Where I teach chess. Check it out. Oh. I'm a little surprised Jordan Mason is ranked over Derrick Henry. Wet like I'm book. Interesting name. If you guys like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. I will have my DFS show tomorrow. Gonna write that article, have that out tomorrow. Should have my resurrection rankings out for paid subscribers who subscribe to beatbestball.com. Have that out tomorrow as well. This is what I wrote in the in July about the playoff spots I wanted to target. Let's see how I'm doing. 49ers playoff schedule still feels great to me. They get the Rams, smash. They get the Dolphins, smash. They get Detroit, smash. So this is a big reason I was super into the 49ers is not only the 49ers, but they get a smash playoff schedule for advanced rates and winning the contest purpose. I said these teams have plus week 17 running back matchups. Chargers at New England. That one still seems true. Bengals versus Denver still seems true. Tampa at Carolina still seems true. Atlanta versus Washington still seems true. Chiefs versus Steelers. I guess. I want to say that like, meh. Steelers just seem solid all around, but still would expect them to be trailing against the Chiefs. Chicago versus the Seahawks. I mean, the Lions ran all over them. They faced teams like the Patriots and the Broncos previously, so sure. Got to get even on the big dog. Fade the way you play the big dog is you fade them in best ball where you need to be punished week 17, but you draft them in week 5. So this one feels true, but I don't know. Philadelphia versus Dallas. Yep, that feels super true. Indy versus the Giants. Feels pretty true, but the Giants front seven solid. Cleveland versus Miami. Yep, I smashed that one. I also read about how the Dolphins defense lost a lot of players, and that is just super playing out true. Rams versus Arizona. Yep, that one feels true as well. So I think I smashed that. For as far as like running backs you want to be targeting for week 17 matchups, I nailed a lot of bad rush defenses. These games could be shootouts. Cardinals at Rams. Yep. San Fran at Detroit. Yep. Bills at Jets. Yep. Dallas at Philly. Yep. Seattle at Chicago. Sure. Atlanta at Washington. Yep. Miami at Cleveland. No. Jacksonville versus Tennessee. Maybe. Ballin at Houston. Yes. These teams could dominate their opponent. Chiefs. Yep. Bengals versus Denver. Yep. Green Bay at Minnesota. Doesn't look like it anymore. No. Atlanta at Washington. Doesn't look like it anymore. No. Tampa at Carolina. Still feels pretty likely. Yep. Chargers at New England. Still feels pretty likely. And then this was my calling my shot the perfect team. Purdy. Still feel good about. Bengals running back. Maybe. Kyron against the Cardinals. Yeah. Ayuk against the Lions week 17. I like it still. Marvin against as the bring back against the Rams. I like it still. He went off in that matchup. Kirk? No. Probably not, but maybe. Let's go Kincaid. Kincaid still feels pretty. It's in the cards, but I wouldn't call any tight end feeling like a smash right now. And then with Christian Watson, he's hurt. I would swap that to Jaden Reed if I could do it right now. But I don't know, pretty decent all around. Feel like I nailed the running back matchups to be into, and feel like I nailed just how good the 49ers playoff schedule is. Yeah, I agree. I mean, even more so on the 49ers side to me. But yeah, that would be to be the winning BBM5, and then you have to fade all the 49ers Lions teams. Wouldn't feel good. Ayuk. This is Ayuk's week. Strong leverage off of Jordan Mason as well. Brian Thomas, think he's a solid pick this week. Yeah, Mari Cooper against Washington feels pretty solid. Yeah, I mean, Jacob, even if Shakir misses this week and Kincaid doesn't bust, and Kincaid doesn't smash, that's not how it works to me, you know? I don't think you could just say a singular matchup decides whether you are a good fantasy pick or not. Like Ayuk, I still think is a good fantasy pick. He's a clear buy low. I didn't think it was a good matchup against the Patriots. Is he a bust because of that? No, to me. I think Shakir missing time would obviously help Kincaid's fantasy points. But the Bills could just struggle without Shakir as well. So hopefully he does not miss. The guy who probably helps most would be Curtis Samuel. No, I don't know what that was. I think Tyreek was just starved for attention or something. Jeez, Brian. I'd probably play Likely, but I get it. Is this guy effing serious? I didn't draft Brock Purdy because I looked at his team and I noticed he had Jamar Chase. Oh, he had Kittle too. I didn't look at that. That's on me. I was like, oh, I'll draft Purdy. And I was like, oh, no, this guy's going to go Joe Burrow. But he had Kittle. So totally defensible. Instead, we are down to Geno or Deshaun Watson. I think I'm going to go to Watson just because he's going to be so underdrafted. Looks terrible, is terrible, but Commanders defense. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I got. Check out Liam Teaches Chess. We'll be back tomorrow for DFS. Have a great day.